If you've been checking your phone lately and suddenly saw the words USCIS Furlough spreading across social media, maybe your heart sank a little. Maybe you wondered what this means for your green card application, your work permit renewal, or your citizenship interview that's finally been scheduled after months of waiting. You're not alone in feeling worried, and I want you to know that your concerns are completely valid. Right now, there's a lot of confusion, incomplete information, and honestly, some fear being shared online about what's happening at USCIS. And today, we're going to cut through all of that noise together. We're going to look at the actual facts, understand what a potential furlough really means, separate the rumors from reality, and most importantly, help you understand how this might actually affect your specific immigration case. Take a breath, because clarity is coming and you deserve to know the truth. So let's start with the basics, because understanding what's actually happening is the first step to reducing anxiety. USCIS, which stands for United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, is the government agency responsible for processing nearly all immigration benefits in the United States. This includes green card applications, naturalization cases, work permits, travel documents, family petitions, and so much more. Now, the term furlough that you've been seeing means that USCIS employees might be required to take unpaid time off from work. This isn't about USCIS shutting down permanently or immigration coming to a complete halt. A furlough is a temporary measure, and it's important to understand why this is even being discussed right now. USCIS is unique among federal agencies because it's primarily funded by the fees that applicants like you pay when you submit your immigration applications. Unlike most government agencies that receive their money directly from Congress through tax dollars, USCIS relies on application fees to operate. When there are fewer applications being filed, or when processing slows down for various reasons, USCIS can face budget shortfalls. This has happened before. In fact, back in 2020, USCIS faced a similar funding crisis and announced potential furloughs. Though, ultimately, those furloughs were avoided at the last minute through various measures, including some congressional assistance and operational adjustments. Right now, as of the time we're having this conversation, USCIS has announced that it is once again facing financial challenges and has notified its employees about the possibility of furloughs. I want to be absolutely clear about something crucial here. A possibility is not the same as a certainty. No furloughs have actually started yet. No final decision has been made public about exactly when they would begin, how long they would last, or how many employees would be affected. This is still a developing situation, and USCIS leadership, Congress, and various stakeholders are actively working to find solutions to prevent or minimize the impact. Now, let's talk about what you're probably most concerned about. How could this potentially affect your case? This is where we need to be both honest and practical. If furloughs do happen, and if they involve a significant portion of USCIS staff taking unpaid leave, processing times for immigration applications would likely slow down. Think about it logically. If there are fewer officers available to review applications, conduct interviews, adjudicate cases, and issue decisions, the entire system will naturally move more slowly. Cases that might normally take 6 months could take 8 or 9 months. Interview appointments might be rescheduled. Response times to inquiries could be delayed. However, and this is really important to understand, this does not mean your application becomes invalid. It does not mean your pending case gets denied or thrown away. It does not mean that the law has changed regarding your eligibility. Your application remains in the queue, your fees have been paid, and your case will continue to exist in the system. The primary impact would be timing, not the fundamental outcome of cases that are otherwise approvable. Let me address some specific types of cases and how they might be affected differently. If you have a green card application pending, whether it's through family sponsorship, employment, asylum, or another category, that application doesn't disappear during a furlough. Your priority date doesn't change. Your place in line doesn't get lost. What might happen is that the processing of your case slows down. If you were expecting an interview, it might be delayed. If you were waiting for a request for evidence to be reviewed after you submitted your response, that review might take longer. For those of you waiting for work permit renewals, this is admittedly a more time-sensitive concern. Work permits, officially called Employment Authorization Documents or EADs, have expiration dates, and if you're relying on that document to remain employed legally in the United States, delays in processing can create real hardship. Here's what you need to know. First, if your EAD is expiring soon and you haven't yet filed for renewal, file as early as possible. USCIS allows you to file for renewal up to 180 days before your current EAD expires. Don't wait. Second, there's something called automatic extensions for certain categories of EAD applicants. If you file your renewal application before your current EAD expires, and you fall into one of the eligible categories, your work authorization can be automatically extended for a certain period, usually 180 days, while USCIS processes your renewal. Make sure you understand whether you qualify for this automatic extension and keep documentation of your timely filed renewal with you. For naturalization applicants waiting to become United States citizens, interviews might be delayed if furloughs occur, but again, your application remains valid. If you've already had your interview and you're waiting for the oath ceremony, those ceremonies might also be rescheduled. This is frustrating, absolutely, but it's a delay, not a denial. Your eligibility for citizenship based on your years of permanent residence, your good moral character, and meeting all the requirements doesn't change because of USCIS staffing issues. If you're in removal proceedings or deportation proceedings and you have applications pending with USCIS as part of your defense, such as applications for adjustment of status or asylum applications filed affirmatively, potential delays at USCIS won't stop your immigration court hearings from proceeding. The immigration courts are part of a different agency, the Executive Office for Immigration Review under the Department of Justice, not USCIS. However, if you're waiting for USCIS to approve something that could help your court case, delays could complicate your situation. This is absolutely a scenario where you should be working closely with a qualified immigration attorney who can strategize with you. Now let's talk about what's being said on social media versus what's actually true, because this is where a lot of unnecessary panic is being created. I've seen posts claiming that all immigration applications will be canceled if furloughs happen. That's false. I've seen claims that green card holders could lose their status during a furlough. That's also false. I've seen suggestions that people should withdraw their applications and start over somewhere else. That's terrible advice based on no factual basis whatsoever. I've even seen some posts suggesting that USCIS furloughs mean that immigration to the United States is ending. That's not just wrong, it's fear-mongering. Here's the reality. USCIS has faced budget challenges before and has continued to operate. Even during the 2020 furlough crisis, the agency continued processing applications, just at a reduced capacity. Critical services, emergency situations, and certain priority cases typically continue to be handled even during staffing reductions. The United States immigration system, for all its flaws and challenges, is built on laws passed by Congress, and those laws don't change just because an agency has budget problems. What should you actually do right now? First, stay calm and stay informed, but make sure you're getting your information from reliable sources. The official USCIS website at uscis.gov is your best source for accurate, up-to-date information directly from the agency. They publish announcements, alerts, and updates about operational changes. Check that website regularly if you have a pending case. Second, if you have applications or petitions that you've been planning to file soon and you're ready to file them, don't necessarily delay just because of furlough concerns. Getting your application into the system establishes your filing date and your place in the queue. Waiting might not help you and could actually hurt you depending on your situation. Third, Make absolutely sure that USCIS has your current mailing address and that you're checking your mail regularly. During times of operational challenges, USCIS might send important notices by mail, and if you miss a notice about an interview, a request for evidence, or a deadline to respond to something, that could result in your case being denied for failure to appear or failure to respond, which is completely unrelated to any furlough but could happen if you're not paying attention. You can update your address online through your USCIS online account if you have one, or by filing Form AR11. Fourth, document everything related to your case. Keep copies of all forms you've submitted, all receipts, all notices you've received, all correspondence, everything. If there are delays and you need to make inquiries, or if something gets lost in the system, having your own complete record is invaluable. Fifth, if you're in a particularly time-sensitive situation, if your status is about to expire, if you have a hearing coming up, if you're facing any kind of deadline or emergency, consult with a licensed immigration attorney. I cannot stress this enough. The information I'm providing here is general education about what's happening, but it cannot replace personalized legal advice about your specific situation. An attorney can review your individual circumstances, advise you on the best course of action, and help you navigate complications that might arise. Let me also take a moment to talk about the bigger picture here, because understanding context can help reduce anxiety. Immigration systems in countries around the world face administrative challenges. Backlogs, funding issues, staffing shortages, these are unfortunately common problems. What matters is not that these challenges exist, but how they're managed and resolved. In the United States, USCIS, Congress, and various advocacy organizations are aware of these issues and are actively working on solutions. There are ongoing discussions about fee structures, about additional funding, about operational efficiencies, about technology improvements, all aimed at keeping the system functioning. It's also worth noting that even if furloughs do occur, they are intended to be temporary. The goal is not to permanently reduce USCIS capacity, but to address an immediate budget shortfall until longer-term solutions can be implemented. History shows us that USCIS has recovered from previous crises and resumed more normal operations. That doesn't erase the frustration and difficulty of delays for people whose lives are on hold, waiting for immigration decisions. And those frustrations are completely legitimate. But it does provide some perspective that this is a challenge the agency is working to overcome, not a permanent catastrophic collapse. For those of you who are permanent residents, green card holders, this is also a good moment to remind you about the importance of eventually pursuing citizenship if you're eligible. United States citizens have immigration rights that cannot be taken away except in extremely rare circumstances involving fraud in obtaining citizenship. Citizens don't need to renew green cards, don't need to worry about maintaining residence requirements for a green card, don't need to carry immigration documents, and have full protection under the Constitution. If you've been a permanent resident for 5 years or 3 years if you're married to a United States citizen and you meet the other requirements for naturalization, seriously consider starting that process. Yes, there might be delays right now, but becoming a citizen gives you permanent security that permanent residents simply cannot match. I also want to address something I've heard from several people in comments on previous videos. The question of whether they should consider immigrating to a different country instead because of challenges in the United States system. That's an incredibly personal decision, and I would never tell anyone where they should or shouldn't try to build their life. What I will say is this: every country's immigration system has challenges, delays, complexities, and frustrations. Canada has massive backlogs. Australia has strict requirements and long processing times. The United Kingdom has expensive fees and complicated rules. European countries each have their own systems with their own difficulties. No immigration system anywhere in the world is easy or fast or perfect. If you've already invested time, money, and hope into the United States immigration process, Don't make hasty decisions based on temporary administrative challenges. But if you're just beginning your immigration journey and you're genuinely comparing different countries, research thoroughly, understand what you're getting into wherever you choose, and make an informed decision based on your priorities, skills, family connections, and long-term goals. Before we finish, I want to give you some very practical action steps that you can take right now today, regardless of what happens with potential furloughs. Number 1. Create or log into your USCIS online account if you have a case pending. This allows you to check your case status, receive electronic notifications, and sometimes even communicate with USCIS electronically. Number 2. Sign up for case status updates by email or text message through the USCIS website. This way, you'll be notified automatically if there are changes to your case. Number 3. If you haven't already, consider consulting with a licensed immigration attorney, especially if your case is complicated or if you're approaching any deadlines. Number 4. Join legitimate immigration forums or communities where people share accurate information and experiences, but be very careful to verify anything you read there against official sources. Number 5. Take care of your mental health during this waiting period. Immigration stress is real, the uncertainty is difficult, and it's okay to acknowledge that this process is hard. Reach out to family, friends, support groups, or professional counselors if you're struggling. Let me be very clear about one final thing. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the coming weeks and months with USCIS funding and potential furloughs. No one can predict with certainty whether furloughs will actually occur, how extensive they'll be, or how long they'll last. What I do know is that panicking doesn't help, that rumors and misinformation make everything worse, and that staying informed with accurate facts from reliable sources is your best tool for navigating uncertainty. I know that your immigration journey matters, that your dreams of building a life in the United States are valid and important, and that temporary administrative challenges, as frustrating as they are, don't erase your eligibility or your hope. Keep checking official sources, keep following the rules, keep preparing your applications carefully, keep working with qualified professionals when you need help, and keep believing in your journey. Immigration has never been easy, but millions of people have successfully navigated this process even during difficult times, and you can too. If this video helped bring you some clarity during a confusing time, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to Global Immigration Updates. We're committed to bringing you accurate, reliable, fact-based immigration information without the sensationalism and fear that you see elsewhere online. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss important updates, because immigration news changes frequently, and staying informed is crucial. Give this video a like if you found it helpful, and please share it with your family members, friends, or anyone in your community who might be worried about these USCIS furlough reports. They need accurate information just as much as you do. And finally, leave a comment below. Tell me what specific immigration topics you'd like us to cover next. Share your experiences, ask your questions. I read the comments, and your input helps shape the content we create to serve you better. Remember, you're not alone in this journey, and we're here to help you navigate it with truth, clarity, and hope. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.